Well, good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Hello. All right. So we're here at Sweetwater Park, and we're going to do a celebratory burning of the financial document that was the loan that helped us buy over 10,000 acres of land. So we've got a number of people who are going to speak very briefly. My job is to just talk about the very beginning of the Alachua County Forever program. I was elected in 1998 to the Alachua County Commission, and one of the things I said is that we needed a land buying program in the county. A lot of people thought that was a good idea, but on the morning of Y2K, January 1, I woke up and I had kind of a hangover, and I was thinking I'd already been in office for over a year and could not get even a few dollars in the county commission budget. And so gathered a group of people together, about maybe 10 or 15 people, some that are here, and we just decided right then and there that we were going to run a citizens initiative where we collected over 8,000 ballots to get the tax measure, the general obligation bond called Alachua County Forever, on the ballot. And the rest is really history. There was a very small group of people that started collecting these ballots, and we tried to make it look like a grassroots campaign. And then one day it just became one, where there were people who we had no idea who they were out doing the work of collecting the ballots and doing the campaigning, and it passed overwhelmingly. So it was, nobody had really taken us seriously that we could do this. Nobody had ever done this before in Alachua County. And so we passed at the polls, we started the program, and we'll hear from some of the other folks about different aspects of the program. Pegeen Hanrahan isn't here, but she actually sort of built the structure of the program based on best practices from around the country in how to make a program like this work. So I'm going to turn it over to Buddy Irby, the clerk of the court, who's going to describe a little bit about how we financed this and some of the great work that the clerk and the finance director did for Alachua County Forever.
Thank you, Hutch, and congratulations. But just a very brief summary that, once we the voters decided to allow the county to borrow the money, then we went out using a number of different vehicles, just-in-time borrowing, and with the favorable interest rates and all, we were able to refinance from time to time. That in the final analysis allowed us to pay these bonds off early and save hundreds of thousands of dollars for the taxpayers. And so I want to certainly salute the finance department, the managers team that worked with us, the budget office, our investment counselors, our law firms that did all the refinancing for us. Everybody worked together to make this a very, very successful project. So we appreciate the opportunity to work on it and glad it turned out so well. Thank you very much, Hutch.
The next person who is instrumental is, well, first I'm going to introduce Doug Hornbeck. Doug actually ran the campaign. He did all the behind-the-scenes work and a lot of the front-of-the-scenes work. Pam Zaber was the chair of the Legacy Lands Political Action Committee, and Doug was her right-hand person. So Pam moved out of the community. She served as, I think, the first chair of our Citizens Advisory Board, but maybe Doug will just speak for a minute or two about the campaign and what an interesting time that was.
Thank you, Hutch. The campaign was an interesting time. We just got through with Hutch's campaign a year prior, so we were cranked up to do campaigns. But this was really something quite special. It was run out of a little room in our house, and volunteers would come over and stuff envelopes and do all the necessary things, make yard signs. It was a labor of love that lasted quite a while, and thankfully we came out ahead in the end and have a great program, and now we're enjoying the fruits of our labor. So there you go.
All right, thank you. The person who we hired right at the very beginning to run this program stayed with it until just really last month or 2 months ago. So Ramesh Butch was hired from a similar program down in South Florida, and what he brought to us was professionalism, knowledge, and just how to do the tough work of both land acquisition and then ultimately management. So Ramesh, tell us a little bit about the program.
Well, thanks, Hutch. Yeah, it was an honor to come up here in 2001. Our kids had just been born, and I was looking to raise kids in a place that I thought I grew up as a kid. So moving to Gainesville was like moving back about 25 years in terms of feeling safe and having a place to grow up in. you've seen from the previous speakers really what I consider to be the three legs of a successful program. You had political support. Over the 15 years, we had lots of different commissions, but they all supported the program, both with their dollars and with their votes when lands were nominated. We had tremendous public support. 2008, we passed another referendum to fund the program again. That could only be built on the fact that we had a successful program to start with, and we delivered on that promise. And third, you've seen from Buddy Irby and his staff, Todd Hutchison, the finance director, every step of the way they made sure that we did it right, that we didn't make any mistakes, and that we were able to eventually, deliver real land to the people for the dollars they gave us. So I'm just really happy. I'm just the tip of an iceberg that really made the program the success that it is today. So thank you to all of you.
Good. Thanks a lot, Ramesh. There's one person who I think is safe to say has trumped more parts of Alachua County than any other person. Most people know him as Bob Simons, but for many of us, he's Father Nature, not Mother Nature, but Father Nature. So Bob was instrumental both in the kinds of lands that we decided to purchase and serving as the person on various advisory boards and committees to help make it happen. So Bob, tell us a little bit about your background and knowledge.
Well, my folks moved to Gainesville in 1950, and they brought me with them as an 8-year-old. And in the 50s, I've always liked nature. I didn't like being indoors. I didn't like being close to crowds of people. I like being around crowds of trees instead. So I started wandering around in the wilds even as a kid. And I began to realize that in the 50s, human development, cities and towns were little islands surrounded by nature. Some of the nature was really wild, and some of it was timber industry land, and some of it was agricultural land. But it all had wildlife. It was all pretty clean and wild and wonderful. Nowadays, it's the exact opposite. Nature is little pockets surrounded by seas of development. If you've been in an airplane and flown from Miami to Gainesville, you know this is true if you've looked down. If we're going to have a livable environment, we need to plan for it. And the county commission, in its wisdom, decided that maybe we needed to be proactive about this if we were going to have a functional aquifer and if we're going to have a little bit of wildlife. So they worked for years and developed a really good comprehensive plan that included inventorying the county for natural resources and then having a special category, the protected ecosystems. That's not exactly the right word. What's the right word?
Strategic ecosystems.
Strategic ecosystems that have stronger protection. So it was a proactive way of trying to protect the aquifer, protect wildlife corridors, protect wildlife habitat, protect really special places. And then the county commission came up with this, and what Hutch just talked about, various other people in the community came up with the idea of buying some of these lands. So the combination of the strategic ecosystem maps and this efforts to buy lands worked really well. And we had really good people running the program so that we got partners and didn't have to spend too much money. And so now you can go out, there's secure habitat for things like fox squirrels and gopher tortoises and coach whip snakes and quail and southeastern kestrels out around Watermelon Pond, in large part because of a cooperative effort between the county land buying program and various other public agencies. There's parts of the Santa Fe River, our great northern boundary, that are protected now, and all over the county there's additions to things like Payne's Prairie and San Velasco Hammock. So the program has worked really well, and I hope we continue to have a program like that. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Bob. When Alachua County was looking for a county manager, we had all kinds of choices out there. But one of the things that tipped the scale in our choice of Lee Niblock was the fact that he had an extensive background in park acquisition and management and so forth. So I'd just like for Lee to say a few words about how we're going to carry this forward in the next for the next generation. Lee.
whenever an elected official has spoken, really appointed managers should speak very briefly. But I can tell you right now, for a longtime park manager in not only Florida, but in a Midwestern state, and when I can get out in the morning and enjoy a piece of property like this, it just encourages me and also to coach my staff into taking this and making this a sustainable program. And hopefully with the wisdom of the voters next month, we will continue the legacy of success that Alachua County has had, and we will become known throughout the state and the Southeast as the county, the Florida government county, that knows better than all of our peers on how best to manage property. So we've got a great solid foundation of resource protection to build upon, and the best is yet to come.
And so I want to introduce Ken Cornell. One of the things about this commission is we've got a broad range of skills, and Ken brings to us real estate skills, and we're going to need that more and more as the next phase of our acquisition program moves on. So Ken, would you say a few words?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's just saw Pegeen just joined us, so thank you for joining us. Really, all I have to say is that we stand on the shoulders of giants locally, and it is our duty. Many of us that are here today were not here when this began, but it is our duty to make sure that we take care of what is precious to this community and continue the good work of our past.
And so I'm just going to name a few other folks that we know are instrumental. Pegeen, of course, as we mentioned before, worked on the structure of the program and how the sort of behind-the-scenes rating of properties and so forth went. Brian Block, who worked for the Nature Conservancy, was a long-time contractor with the county and did a lot of the day-to-day negotiations on property. Of course, Sandra Vardaman has been here for the entire time doing the land management as we acquire the property. And she has a great staff of, nowhere near enough staff, but she's got a great staff of hardworking folks that have turned places like Sweetwater Park. This place was covered with exotics. It had been a homeless camp, and you come here today and it's absolutely gorgeous. Still work to be done, but they do a great job. We have Jack Hauptman here, who for years was chair of the Citizens Advisory Committee, and they're the ones who are sort of the eyes and ears to make sure that we were following the rules, and they helped rate the properties and so forth. And we just have a number of other strong environmentalists here, partners from the State Park Service, and it's really a great day for us to be gathered here. So what we're going to do is, using the tools of the trade, which is a drip torch and some magic pine straw that is guaranteed to burn, we're going to take this Alachua County Forever fake bond here, but this represents $29 million that we retired a month or two ago. In other words, we paid off the bonds, and we paid them off essentially 6 years early. When we originally passed Alachua County Forever, we said, let's make the bond last 20 years, let's make it be $250,000, and we guessed that it would be $29 million. In reality, it could have raised a lot more than that, but we stuck to our word. When $29 million had been borrowed and spent, we were retiring this bond. So what I'm going to do, who wants to hold this while I light it?
I'll hold it. Get somebody on that side.
We got it, sure.
Doug, you deserve to hold this thing.
All right, burn this thing
Bob,
up.
come on, Bob.
Let's keep it in the light.
Burn these bonds up.
All right. All right. I think the magic's working.
All right.
Keep holding on, Lily.
That's it. All right.
Glory be.
Well, you can smell the hair on the back of your hand. It's time to drop it.
Good job, buddy. You got rid of it.
Thank you.
Nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job, man. Good job.
Great job.